Hello again. I just thought I'd say a few words about home education today, or homeschooling as the Americans call it. Homeschooling, which is an American expression, is replacing home education these days. A lot of people on the home educating scene in Britain do not like the expression homeschooling because what they do is not really schooling at all. They like to draw a distinction between education and schooling. So it's wise if you're dealing with British home educators sometimes to avoid talking of homeschooling because it will cause irritation. I wonder how many people watching this are aware that there's never been any compulsory schooling in this country. It has never been the law in Britain that anybody has to send their child to school. The whole thing is completely voluntary. It's certainly the case that a parent has a duty to see that their child is educated. That's been so since the 1880s. There's never been a law telling people that they must send their children to school. The law has always included the words, cause child to be educated by sending to school or otherwise. However, most people prefer to use schools. They are convenient, they're free, it means you're not stuck with the kid all day, and so for most people it's an automatic thing. I used to, I've caused irritation and annoyance to many people in my life. When my child was small, I didn't send her to school at all. She didn't go to school for a single day. Sometimes people would ask me, and they would think there was something bizarre going on. They would ask me, "Well, why haven't you sent her to school?" And I would say something along the lines usually, "Well, why did you send your child to school? Why have you decided to educate your child in that way?" And that used to cause irritation because it's a reflex action. People have children at the age of 4 or 5, those children go to school. Most people don't even consider the matter. It never dawns on them for a moment that they don't need to send their child to school. I never thought that education at school was a particularly effective way of getting a child to learn things, or either inculcating them with information or teaching them how to think. School is very much a mass production. It's like a factory line, and from that point of view it's useful, but it has its limitations. It's a peculiar and old-fashioned system as well. It's very outdated. I wonder how many of people watching this call their bosses sir or miss. Probably none at all. It used to be common enough 50 or 60 years ago. People would still address their boss as sir. It was the way things are these days. We call people by their Christian names, even our bosses usually, but not in schools. In schools, it's a part. It's simply the way people say the pupils call their teacher Miss. When do you ever hear people talk about Miss these days? When did you ever hear? You don't go into a shop and say, "Excuse me, Miss," to the assistant, do you? Not unless you're very, very old. It's then too this whole business about being marched around in a group. When my daughter started at a further education college, she found that the most exciting aspect of it for the children that had been at school was that at the age of 16 they were now able to go and urinate without asking permission from somebody. And that in itself was bizarre. She said that the girls were really pleased and excited about this. I find it odd. I can't think of many situations apart from prisons and the army. Certainly, if you're at work, you don't have to ask permission to urinate, do you? So, school is it's an old fashioned institution. It shares features with prisons and the army, and I don't see that it's particularly something I ever wanted to get involved with. There's more and more parents now who are home educating. It's definitely becoming more of a thing. There's no particular purpose to this video. I just thought I would muse on the subject of home education.